Okay, welcome to the first interview for a long time for the LiveLeak Show, and we are joined by the inimitable Mr. Tom Six. Welcome
Hello,
to the
listeners.
show. Thank you very much for agreeing to appear on our little show, Tom. We do appreciate it.
Of course, no problem.
Now, we put out a call for questions from LiveLeak fans and people out on Twitter, and we've been kind of inundated. So what we'll do, we'll include some of them as we go. And there's one particular fan that sent us a huge list of questions that I will just forward to you by email.
Perfect.
Some of them want to know a suspicious amount about your personal life. I'll leave that to you to decide.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I guess we have to start with the obvious. You're the guy,
Yeah.
the man that took ass to mouth to the mainstream.
Yes, sir.
You entered the mainstream consciousness with your first film, Human Centipede. But before that, I did want to mention to some of the guys that might not know much about your history that people have claimed a level of misanthropy on your part for your films, which I do believe is misplaced. But I think if they wanted evidence of misanthropy, it would be that you were involved in Big Brother.
Yes, sir. That's true. I was one of the pioneer directors on that show. As you might know, the first show started in Holland. And I was hired to be a director while nobody knew what the show was going to be like, if it was successful or not. But it was a big pleasure watching people being locked up for 24 hours a day. And you see everything, the toilets, the showers, all the intimate details. So I love to do that. And then, yeah, as you know, it exploded and it went all over the world. And I was sent as a director's coach to a lot of countries. I set the show up in America and in Germany and in Norway and South Africa. And that was a lot of fun to do. I think more directors should do that because you learn a lot about human behavior.
I wouldn't have surprised if that's where you got the idea for the Human Centipede. Because to be fair, on the rare occasions I've caught Big Brother, I would pay to see that done to the people in those houses.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah, great combination. Yeah.
Now, we'll move on to the first film, because I remember I kind of stumbled across that film almost by accident.
Yeah.
Very much at the time, we were getting a lot of films along the lines of Martyrs, like Euro horror, crisp look.
Yeah.
And I checked one out called The Human Centipede, and very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
When you had the idea for it,
Yeah.
did you have any inclination of the sort of global impact you were about to unleash?
A little bit. When I had the first idea, I thought this is going to be amazing. People reacted to it so strongly when I told them the little premise of the film, and I enjoyed their fear so much and their horrifying emotions with that. I thought this could be something huge. But then when I was on the set actually, and I was shooting the scene when Dr. Heiter shouts, feed her, and the whole crew was like, what the hell are we doing? I knew I had a comet in my hands, and it sure hit the world after that.
It didn't it just, yes. And of course, mentioning Dr. Heiter, of course, Dieter Laser.
Yes.
What a fortuitous piece of casting that turned out to be.
He's brilliant. It's amazing. I was checking out all German actors, and I found this little photograph on him on Google Images, and I said, who the hell is that guy? And I looked him up on IMDb, and he did like 70 films already. And I saw he never played a villain, and I think the guy is born to play a villain. And then I made an appointment, and I flew to Germany, to Berlin, and there he was, this larger-than-life character. And we definitely were a match made in hell, because that guy is everything I could wish for and hoped for. And he loved my ideas, and he wasn't shocked at all at first, and it was amazing. I think without Dieter, the film wouldn't have been the same.
Well, I definitely agree, because obviously when you first watch the first one, if you watch them in sequence, he's kind of a little bit hammy, very villainous.
Yeah.
But obviously, compared to his performance, which we'll come to later on in the third film, positively restrained. Yes. But I think if anyone really wants to get an idea of DT, just got to watch interviews with the guy. He's so animated and passionate about everything he does.
He is. But also in real life, he's very careful about the way his shoes look or the way his tie looks, and he has exactly the right size of jacket. So in whole life, he's very meticulous, very precise, and I love that.
Incredibly German, it could be
Yes,
said.
it's very German. Oh yeah.
Not that I want to get into that whole xenophobic thing. We get accused of that far too often as it is on the live show. Now, in the first film, Dr. Hayden gives a marvellous speech.
Yes.
The one that begins, I'll explain this spectacular operation only once. Now, it kind of an obscure question, but that's littered with very accurate medical terminology.
Oh, definitely.
We have to know, was that hitting the books, or did you approach a doctor about this?
I approached a real-life surgeon for that. And in my network, I had a surgeon, and I went out to have a coffee with him. And then I slowly told my idea, and then he looked at me like I had some terminal illness or something. But doctors are a little bit strange. They're intelligent creatures, but they have something a little bit sadistic as well, I noticed. So that guy said, I won't do it. But then later he came back and he said, I'm going to help you, Tom, but under one condition, I want to be absolutely anonymous. And then he gave me this very detailed operation report. All those sentences that I put in that speech are in there. And he said I could actually make a human centipede in my hospital. There are a lot of problems you face. You get blood poisoning, and the persons could choke or something. But you can get it right, and that makes it extra sick, I think.
Well, yeah, it's always important to know that should needs arise,
definitely,
you can actually create a human centipede.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the film, as well as garnering the love of many horror fans, did garner you a lot of negative attention.
Oh, yeah.
But I think more people should be like LiveLeak user Emerald Cigarette, who looks at it from a slightly different perspective. Yeah. That if you watch the movie backwards, it's about a kind surgeon who separates heart-to-mouth attached folk and sets them free into the forest.
That's a brilliant idea. I love it.
It's always nice to see the positive.
Yeah, absolutely. All the reactions. I hate all the reactions. I love that people strongly react to my movies. I would hate it if they see a movie of me and they would think, what's for dinner, and they don't care. I love all the reactions, good or bad.
And well, that's it. Apathy's the killer.
I think the more enemies you make, the successfuler you are.
I hope that's the case.
Yes.
Because we make lots as well. So.
Oh, yeah.
Now, just moving on from the releasing people in the forest, which is a beautiful thing, I'd like to go on to the second film.
Yes.
Now, somebody did ask which was your favourite. Now, I know a lot of directors I've spoken to say, I couldn't choose. It's like choosing your favourite child. Most people with more than one child can actually secretly choose their favourite child.
Yeah.
Which is your favourite of the three films?
What I like, of course, is the original one. That's part one. That's where all the main idea comes from. What I really like about part two is the amount of gore I could show. That was a really fun thing. But I think secretly part three is my favorite because it has my human centipede idea in action. And that was the original idea, to use it as full punishment. And that's why I think part three is what it's all about in the end.
Came full circle, so to speak. Yes. Well, that's it. Moving on to the second film. The second is actually my favourite of the series.
Yeah.
I say it's not even so much the gore. It's I love the whole black and white, almost silent movie vibe. It adds a real layer of darkness, almost Eraserheadish kind of. I love that sort of feel to a film.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to talk about with this one, but I'd like to start with the casting. How did Lawrence Harvey come across your radar?
It's incredible. I did the same thing. I went on Google again and looked up British actors, and then I found on Google Images this very tiny pic of Lawrence, and I thought, man, that man looks amazing. And then I emailed his agent. And they replied and they said, he's not available for that. So I was very disappointed. I said, no, I definitely need him to audition. And then they said, "Oh, now we'll email him then." And then Lawrence got the email. They said they were looking somebody for part 2, and he went crazy because he knew part 1. So if it was his agent, he wouldn't have been in the film. So that's a lot of times very crazy with agents, I think. But then he came to the audition, and I saw about 20 guys, and I was very disappointed. And then this holy man came in, and he's amazing. And of course, you have to wonder with my films, has he the balls to do it? And I said, "Can you rape for me the human centipede?" And he grabbed a chair and he made wild love to it. And I thought, I have my man now.
Now, didn't Lawrence do children's television before this?
Yes, he did.
I don't imagine he'll be going back to that career.
Oh no, I don't think he wants to. But he was also a very famous advertising character as a green man, he told me. So, yeah, he's ruined for children now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if I had to watch TV with my son and he popped up, it would get my attention. it would definitely. Because I think he's kind of overlooked. That his role is actually incredibly difficult in the fact a silent role is, in my opinion, I'm not an actor, but doubly difficult to a talkie role because everything has to be emoted just through the expressions of your character.
Yeah. And it only works with the right actors because his face is so expressive, his eyes, his movements. And in the beginning, I wrote like 3 or 4 lines in the film, but when I saw him at work, I skipped all the lines and I let him completely be a silent actor, and that works like hell. It's even more creepy like that.
Oh, hugely so, because it's just that whole thing. Now, one thing, we will come back to some more of the performance after, as time allows. One thing, you suffered a huge amount of censorship on the second film.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there is an irony here in that, to me, the second film is all about the ridiculous notion of life imitating art in the extremes.
Yeah, it is.
As if, a fan of the Human Centipede is going to go out and make one. And of course, playing to type, the British Board of Film Classification kind of pulled you up on this, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. That was exactly the idea. When I was traveling to film festivals all over the world with part 1, they said, what if a guy out there makes a human centipede? And it's so ridiculous because a guy with a chainsaw can actually copy that. But how can you copy a human centipede? That's way more ridiculous, I think. And I thought that was a brilliant idea to make a film about. So it's almost like a satire on that. And the BBFC, they gave me a hard time. But I look at it in 2 ways because I think they gave me the biggest marketing there is for a horror film, I think.
Oh, yes.
You ban it, because everybody was talking about it. The BBC, CNN, everybody mentioned it. On the other hand, I'm very against cutting films because we are all grown-ups and it's very stupid in the 21st century to cut a film because you cannot get it from everywhere in the world.
And not only that, it's fiction.
Absolutely, it's fiction. Absolutely.
We castigate Hitler rightly for burning books.
Yeah.
Cutting films is no different.
Yeah, absolutely.
But wasn't there sort of like a massive 2.5 minutes removed?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, I think to people that perhaps don't have a background in film or on Twitter, they might not realise 2.5 minutes doesn't sound like a long time in life in general.
Yeah.
In film terms, that's 2-3 times the amount of time the shark spent on screen in Jaws.
Yeah, that's so true. I always say I made a comedy and they took out all the good jokes.
Well, I mean, usually it's the sexual violence thing with the BBFC, isn't it?
Yes.
It used to be Power Tools.
Yeah.
There was a film, not a very good film, called Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers in the 80s.
Yes.
They couldn't even use chainsaw in the title. Great Britain.
Great Britain, yeah.
Leading the charge.
Well, in Germany, part 2 is still fully banned.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And of course, the irony is, all that's done is meant every horror fan's gone and just downloaded it.
Yeah. That's so ridiculous, So everybody has seen it in Germany.
And you've not seen a penny for it?
No, nothing.
Well, of course, we will get to this shortly. It's a little different with part 3 because I've noticed that's on Netflix.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's part 1 and 2 in America.
Part 2 is on in the UK as well. I only noticed part 3, which surprised me because, well, we'll talk about because there's a lot to talk about with part 3.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Now, the decision with part 2 to film in black and white, again, a conscious decision. What kind of drove that?
Yeah, I wanted to make a completely different film because with a lot of sequels, they make the first film again, only worse. And I wanted to make the opposite film. So Lawrence is the opposite of the character of Dr. Heiter. And I also wanted no colors. I wanted to tell a different story. It's all handheld, while the first one was all shot on dollies and stuff. So when I was preparing the film, I already knew I wanted to shoot in black and white. And that's why I think the films are such a success, because they're not seeing the same film again.
Well, that was something I did want to get, the completely sort of polarization of each film.
Yes, yeah.
From the sort of the clinical Euro horror look of the first one.
Yeah.
You know, very sharp, very crisp, very, there you go. The second one, again, that beautiful horror noir, sort of extremely dirty kind of look. And, of course, the third one, which was roaring, blazing LA Technicolor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So but that's one of the things, again, about the second film that just gets me every time, the look of the film.
Yeah.
You know, it's the eye candy. It just drags you in. So, God, there's so much more I wanted to talk about in part 2, but we've got to cry again to part 3. Now,
Sure.
When I saw part 3, the first thing I got from it was, again, we've got a totally different human centipede.
Yes.
Like the second one, very self-referential.
Yes.
Which plays further into the kind of absurdity of the whole thing.
Yes.
And I also like the fact that it was less about the centipede and more about the economic benefits of a centipede. It was kind of like the centipede idea, as the 3 films have progressed.
Yeah.
The actual centipede has been pushed further and further back.
Definitely. Yeah. That's exactly how it is.
I really like that. I also like the fact you didn't just try and outdo the gore of the second one.
No, totally not. That would be boring. But for some people, part 3 is worse than part 2 because it's very politically incorrect. Mm-hmm. And there were even people that didn't want to be on the end credits, their name. And with part 2, everybody wanted to be on the end credits. So that says something about part 3, eh?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've reached out and touched people.
Yeah.
But of course, it was the obvious target now, wasn't it? You know, you did the extreme gore with the second. I mean, how much more extreme can you get than raping someone with a penis wrapped in barbed wire?
Yes.
So for the third one, but the irony was, with the third one, I do a little show on a Monday with a guy called Colin Manford.
Right.
And he heard me mention, because obviously last week I watched the Centipede films again, and he heard me mention I watched part 3 on Netflix. And he said, I'm going to watch that. Great. And I went home early last Friday, and I'm getting text message. I'm getting a commentary as he's watching your movie. And it's like, dude, I've seen it. I know what happened. He's going, yeah, but in the soft kidney tissue.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, in the soft kidney. Yeah, just watch it. He's put the gun in his shithole. Yeah, dude, I know what he does in the film. and it is that fact. A lot of people watch it, and they're just, I don't believe any of this shit is actually happening.
Yeah.
Now, major talking points about the third one. Obviously, you've already mentioned you went for the political incorrectness angle.
Yes.
And boy, did you.
Yes.
And I noticed Dieter Laser really stepped up to the plate on this.
He did, yeah.
Was it really just a case of once he'd read the script and gone through, it was just like, okay, Dieter, just go?
Yeah. I had the idea of do the complete opposite of Dr. Heiter. So I wanted this loud, screaming, ignorant asshole, this cowardish character. And I discussed it with Dieter, and he loved it so much that he could show a whole different side of him. He usually is cast as a restrained guy and a slow-talking guy, and this time he went full force, and I didn't stop him either. A lot of time directors say, well, that's a little bit too much, but he just went for it, and I didn't stop him. And I read in a lot of reviews that Dieter is so much screaming and so over the top. And why cannot a villain be so much screaming and over the top? It's something we haven't seen before, I think, in this extremity. That's why I love him so much, Bill Moss.
We were going to talk about the reviews. The reviews have been particularly brutal. And for me, I think a lot of reviewers kind of missed the point.
Yes.
of what the excess the film is supposed to represent.
Yeah.
And Dieter's performance, they talk about how hateful the film is, which is ridiculous because it's clearly a parody of that level of hatred.
Yeah, it is.
But if he'd given a restrained performance and delivered those lines,
Yeah.
the film would have been so much more hateful and disturbing to people on that sort of level. How else could he deliver these things?
Absolutely. It's so over the top, the whole thing. It's like a satire almost on my own movies. Huh? And yeah, we had to do it like that.
Well,
But I showed the film in Hollywood for the premiere, and there were a lot of American critics at the premiere, and they were almost angry because they fucked up America. I even the American anthem I used it in the film, and it's a little mistreated at the end, and then it all and what they are not used to is that the bad guy wins. And they get very angry with that because the Bill Boss character wins and the human centipede concept wins. And they hate that somehow.
They're annoyed because of
They're very annoyed. So they went home with foaming mouth, screaming writing their reviews.
How else could it end, though? What could be more perfect than a half-naked Dieter Laser screaming into a bullhorn in the desert?
Yeah,
I mean, for me,
that's my idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tweeted just last week, it's like the perfect end to an evening is watching Dieter Laser in that film. I genuinely love his performance because it's just so unrestrained.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's literally like Dieter, just the worst you can do. I mean, how else can you deliver a line about dried clitorises?
Yeah. He does it perfectly.
Yeah, not many actors could nail that.
Nope.
Now, we did mention the reviews, like I say, I've read a lot of them that genuinely seem to miss the point, and they put a lot of your success solely down to shock value.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely convinced, if I'm honest, because if it was purely shock value that sold, we would have seen a South Park episode about a Serbian film.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that. So clearly there's a lot more to it, and it just seems that as soon as somebody becomes popular, like when you did the first film, you were quite the darling of the horror underground.
Yes.
As soon as you become popular, man, you're shit.
Oh yeah.
You're just no good. You sold out, dude.
Yeah, that's so true.
And
they can't handle it. They couldn't handle it. No.
But if you'd come along now and made the Human Centipede 3 with a gun being pushed in someone's colostomy hole, I've forgotten the correct name for the colostomy hole. At least it's better than shithole, which is what Colin called it. And all these things, they'd have been all over you like a rash.
Yeah.
And it's that fanboy culture that's it just destroys the whole scene.
Yeah, that's so true. But this wasn't for the mainstream guys to become so popular, I think. Because those genre films, they stay under the surface and nobody talks about them, all the mainstream critics. And this became so popular, they had to talk about it. So they sat in the theater with sour faces. That serious reviewers had to see the Human Centipede 3. That upset them already.
Oh, poor babies.
Yeah,
it's a hard life being paid to sit and watch films and moan about them endlessly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I'm going to say, I mean, I'll risk sound like a fanboy. I thought Part 3 was fucking brilliant. I like the whole idea. I love the self-referential aspect of the films. The way you're clearly mocking all the hype that goes around these things about overt political correctness, about people committing murder because they watched a film, as if you're going to rent a cabin in the wood and stitch people's mouths to another person's asshole.
Absolutely.
And I just dig the whole thing. I dig the whole idea. I also dig the way you've come out following all this, really playing to it as well.
Yeah.
Which has also been noted by some critics as being a terrible thing. How dare Tom Six play up to being the man that he is? How dare you, sir?
Yeah. That's so true. And I'm glad you see it, Hayden, like that.
I just should apologize to these people.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I just play with when a film comes out. I see all the reactions and I use them in the next film. And that's why I used like famous critic lines in Part 3 as well. The famous one from Roger Ebert, that the film is in a place where the stars don't shine. Stuff like that. I love that.
Well, that was Dieter's response, wasn't it? When Lawrence Harvey's character put across, here's my idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was clear. Unfortunately, not clear to most of the people that seem to write about these things.
No.
But they're your critics, fuck them, right?
Yeah, definitely. And maybe in 50 years they have to say they were sorry because then it's such a huge cult hit. It's like the Godfather epic episode or something. But they later see that. Eh?
Well, the thing is, I was looking through the reviews online and all the sites, and they're saying it's terrible, it's disgusting, what he's done part 3 was shit, the guy's this, the guy's that. What they don't realise is they're sat there talking about you,
Yeah.
and underneath the comments are lighting up about people that love and hate you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're
That's
being
true.
talked about, what else matters?
Yeah. Nothing. As long as they spell your name right. Eh? That's the whole
Yeah,
thing.
it sounds like when people go, oh, he's in detention hall. Well, of course he is.
Of course. Of
He
course.
wants
And I love
people
that.
to watch his films.
Yeah. Yeah.
And pay
That's
attention to him. Now, we're going to go through some of the questions,
Sure.
if that's okay. A few people have asked about Nigel.
Yes, Nigel.
Now, as an owner of pugs,
Yeah.
I think that's marvellous that you have a pug. Oh,
Sorry. Yeah. I
Yes,
put it
okay.
in that. Yes, I have a pug myself, Nigel, and I love the animal. It's my best friend in the world. I can even show you the dog
yes, let's see Nigel.
because it's always next to me.
Oh, bless.
He's cool, eh?
When I used to do the little mini broadcast from home, I always had a pug with me as well. One of ours are all rescues. We're down to 2 now, sadly, but he's gorgeous.
He's great. Great that you have two.
Yeah, we've still got 2 left, and let's say both rescues, and both are pretty much mental.
And mental. Yeah, they are mental animals. Yeah.
One of them's got a total pea brain. She's gorgeous, but she's got a brain the size of a pea.
Yeah, they are. But that makes them so funny, eh? And so
Exactly.
attractable. Eh? Yeah.
This is just kind of bizarre. Interviewing Tom Six, and we're doing pug talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For all your pug needs.
Yeah. You can ask us anything about
On
pugs.
the LiveLeak Show. That makes sense. So, some random questions. This is from Fu Manchu on LiveLeak. What's with the hats?
I always wear hats. It's kind of people recognize me from that. When I was a little boy, I always used to wear suits and a hat. And I think it comes from my grandfather because he was a really a dandy gentleman, and he also wore beautiful hats and suits. So when I was a little boy, I always loved the way he looked, and I did it myself, and I never stopped with that. And then people recognize you from that, and I think that's great because it's good to that you get noticed. People know who you are. I love that.
Always be seen, always be heard.
Yeah, a lot of times directors when they're on the set, you have no idea if they're like a grip handler or
a homeless person.
Yeah, exactly. And I like a little to bring a little style to everything, so it's cool, and they know exactly who's the guy, who's the director and stuff, and I like that.
Well, we got, I'm going to go through quite a few user questions if that's cool, because I really adore getting people to be able to get in touch and talk.
Sure.
Someone called Amanda sent us a load of questions, just
Yes.
loads. So other than eating curry, taking the pooch out for a walk, writing a script in expensive ink, what else do you do in your free time?
Lots of things. Lots of things. Let me see what. I think a lot of things that actual normal people do as well. Only I do them in a different way. I think I have a very strange way of looking on life. So I look at life through sometimes alcohol or to my pain medication. I use for my back, and that gives you a whole different perspective on things. So one of my favorite activities is lie on my Chinese opium bed,
Of course.
with a cigar, and just think about my next projects. And I love going. We have a beautiful old cinema here in Amsterdam. I love to go there as well, and I love women. I love traveling. I collect rarities like strange objects. My house is filled with strange things like a stuffed marabou and all kinds of collecting those stuff. And I like style clothes. Yeah, I think people will find me a strange guy when they meet me. Usually, when a reporter comes to my house, they're really in awe. What the hell is this? And that's kind of cool. I see it as normal, but a lot of people don't.
I guess do you find them checking for exits? That's the telling sign.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's the thing you got to watch for,
yeah,
and also make sure that you've sealed them correctly.
yeah. And a lot of times I had a cleaner who didn't want to work after one job. So yeah.
Okay, another one from Amanda. Which film directors, writers are out there now who you admire for their work?
I absolutely love David Cronenberg. I think he's a very intelligent director. I love his work. It's very out there, and I love that he's kind of independent. He does his own things, the things he want to do, and a lot of those studio directors, they, yeah, I appreciate really the authors of cinema. I love David Lynch. I love Lars von Trier. I love Gaspar Noé. Those kinds of directors I love.
Do you by any chance like sort of older Italian directors such as Fulci?
Oh yeah, I love him. But
Oh,
my favorite is definitely Pasolini.
really?
Yes.
Well, on the Fulci thing though, BFFs forever, dude.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Now, two questions I really got to squeeze in here. The first one is, what is the thing Lawrence didn't want to do that was in the first draft of the Human Centipede 2 film?
Didn't want to do.
Apparently, there's something he didn't want to do.
I have no idea. He did everything I asked him for.
Like a good boy should.
Yeah, absolutely. I came up with the craziest idea, and he all loved him. So I can't remember, but maybe when you interview him, he can tell you. I have no clue.
I really hope we can get him on the show.
It is not his real penis that is in the barbed wire, but I didn't ask him to use his real penis as well. So
Thank heavens for small mercies.
yeah.
That was from Julius Tervoma. We go on here. This is from Slim, at Slim Johnson AMA. Will we ever know what happened to Lindsay at the end of the Human Centipede 1, as well as what happened at the end of Human Centipede 2?
Two. Yeah, that's something that's still in progress. Maybe one day I will enter it. I'm working on the Human Centipede Bible now, a book about all behind the scenes facts and stuff and all crazy stuff. And I think I'll write it down in a book. What happens?
I think whatever happens with Martin after, it's just going to be bad.
Yeah.
I can't imagine good things. I can't imagine he just went to work with children and lost animals, to be fair. Lots of people asking about that. Are they not? And the other one was, this was from a few people. You released some colour photos from Human Centipede 2.
Yes.
Are they going to see a colour version of the film?
Definitely. The film is always to be intended to be black and white, but I shot it in color because I wanted the grade to be in black and white. But I did have the colored version. That's so appalling. It's absolutely too terrible to watch, almost impossible. But I didn't want to hold that back to the real gore fans. So what I did, I put it on the 3 box, which is coming out in America, where all 3 films are there together on the 3 box. And I, as a bonus, I also added part 2 in color. And will do something for Europe and Asia also.
I look forward to seeing the UK version with 11 minutes removed. Doubtless.
Yeah.
Well, I do hope I get to see that. Your next project, the Onania Club.
Yes. Yes.
Got Amanda again asking, can we have any spoilers for your film?
Well, not yet. We are now in pre-production, and it's going to be absolutely horrific. It's going to be. If people say the Centipede scarred me, I think this will break them. It's totally different than my Centipedes. It has no gore at all, but it's psychologically so intense. I already get death threats. I think I have to go to the premiere with bodyguards, I think.
That sounds like the kind of film date night. Young people need to take dates to films like that.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
But yeah, I think if people, I mean, a lot of people know onanism and things like that. But look it up. Maybe it'll give you a clue. Maybe it won't.
Yes.
But hopefully it does. Tom, there's so much more I would have liked to have covered, but 2-hour interviews are really hard to ship out there. I've got to say thank you so much for talking to us today. Genuinely appreciate it.
No problem, Hayden. I love LiveLeak, so it was an honor to be on here.
Oh, dude, you've just made a lot of people love you forever.
Correct.
Tom Six, thank you very much, and the best of luck with your future projects, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.